There's something I want to ask you.
There's something I'd like to ask you.
How about we say it at the same time?
Okay.
1, 2.
Will you poop on me?
What?
How's your HPV?
It's your HPV, Veronica. I'm just carrying it.
Truth or dare?
Dare.
See that blonde kid over there?
I dare you to
Blow out his candles before he gets a chance to.
The next film that we watched is called Movie 43. It's the 43rd movie in a series of movies. And it has a all-star cast.
Halle Berry's in the movie, Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman, a bunch of other stars. And basically the movie is, it's a comedy, I think. I don't remember what the premise is. Do you remember, Jay?
Oh, there was, you know, some scenes with the actors, and they get into these situations, and it was just so hilarious.
Let me tell you, Jay, I loved every minute of this movie. Whoever knew that Halle Berry had such comedic chops. I saw her in a different comedy film that she did, which was just hysterical. It was called Catwoman.
My favorite scene in the movie is when that totally outrageous thing happened.
Yeah.
And everyone in the audience was like, "Oh, I can't believe they showed that."
There was that scene where they had the fancy dinner party, and Hugh Jackman comes home and he's like, I got the meat, you know, and the wife had just taken the dog out to the dog run, and she came back with the stinky bag of doggy poop.
Yeah.
And they put them on the counter, and then he was reaching over. He's like, "Honey, I'm working on the," and he doesn't look to where he's reaching to, and he grabs the doggy bag, and he goes, "Ooh, this meat," you know, and she goes,
It's an exotic meat.
you know, that's why it might have a little odor to it. They set it up ahead of time.
Sure, yeah. Well,
So
you got to have your setup and your payoff in a comedy.
So he puts it on the pan and he starts grilling it, and they have a close up. You know, everyone's laughing.
And everyone in the theater's like, "Oh no!"
Yeah, no. And then and then she comes in. She goes, "Oh yeah, that does have quite the odor to it, doesn't it, Hugh Jackman?" And he's like, "Yeah." And so they serve it, and then the whole family's there, and it's like this big dinner, and they bring it out, and everyone's just laughing hysterically, and then they're cutting in. They're like, "Quite the flavor."
And then they cut to Grandma, and she says, "Can I have seconds?" Because she's just enjoying it so much, not realizing that it was dog shit the entire time.
Surprise!
caught you a leprechaun.
I'm gonna cut off your balls and feed them to you. Your balls.
Jeez, they're so into balls.
Let me tell you, my favorite scene in this movie was the sequence where Liev Schreiber was trying to have an affair. He's trying to cheat on his wife with Anna Faris. And so they go and they check into the hotel, and then he's like, I'll meet you up there, I'll meet you up there. And then he goes up to the room, and the lights are off. He's like, oh, why are the lights off in this room? I can't see anything. Are you on the bed? And then he gets on the bed, and he starts fucking, and then Anna Faris comes in, and she flips on the lights, and it's the maid. He was fucking the fat maid. She was so fast.
She was Mexican too.
Yeah, it's funny on multiple levels.
Yeah, and she goes, "Don't you want to put it back in my taco?" And oh God, I laughed.
Yeah.
And she went,
And then that mariachi band came in the room, and it was like crazy because mariachi bands don't just come out of nowhere like that.
They
And that's
don't.
that's what makes it funny.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's what makes it funny. It's the connection. It's because well, for one, fat people, no one wants to fuck a fat person. And she was fat and Mexican.
Yeah.
And then she says, put it back in my taco. You know, like her pussy is a taco. And then a mariachi band comes in, and that's traditionally mariachi bands are associated with Hispanics, Latinos, Latino Americans.
Sure.
And really, it's when the writer sits down and he makes those connections. He says, this big fat bitch is Mexican, and Mexicans eat tacos, la tacos, and they also have mariachi bands. And you know, when you write, you make those connections.
You know, the more you explain the details of it, the more I appreciate how much thought went into the writing of this.
Having a period.
What do I do?
Oh, we're just gonna have to plug it up.
911, my friend is bleeding out of her
And
vagina.
frozen peas and a sponge.
Did you like the scene where Richard Gere put a gerbil up Emma Stone's ass?
I did, because it's a play on
Yeah.
the fact that Emma Stone looks like a gerbil.
She totally does, but I was actually thinking of it in a different context. The notorious rumor that Richard Gere likes to have pet gerbils. he has he has a pet gerbil.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then
that adds an extra layer to the movie again.
Yeah. Do you remember the gerbil actually talked in the movie? It had subtitles. It made squeaking sounds.
Oh yeah.
Richard Gere brings Emma Stone over. And, they had a romantic date. He's like, "Have a seat. I'm going to go freshen up in the bathroom." Of course, when he goes in the bathroom, he had to go number 2.
I appreciate the fact that they let that scene go on for 25 minutes.
It was hysterical. But Emma Stone is waiting, and she's being very, very polite, and you could hear him go. Because whenever you go poop, it's constant farting sounds. And she's sitting there and she's waiting, and you see the gerbil, and the gerbil's like, "What a hot babe," like, "Ooh, someone's getting lucky tonight." And the gerbil is a male gerbil, and then they show its little legs, and in between its little legs, this little gerbil erection comes out. And then Emma Stone's like, she's looking around, and then she sees it, and she goes, and then get this, they start playing "Let's Get It On."
No way!
Yeah, it was fucking
that
hysterical.
Song? I recognize that song.
They play it a lot in movies to a joke like "Let's Get It On," but this one used it to the nines. Perfect. And so she looks around, Richard is still in the bathroom, and she takes the gerbil out, and then they cuts to them in a bed, like satin sheets, and then she's jerking the gerbil off, and then it starts coming just everywhere, and it's like, wow.
A gerbil would not have that much semen in him, and that's just so funny. It gets all over everything, and then the Mexican maid from earlier comes in, and it gets on her, and she goes, "Ay, Dios mío!" So it was like a callback.
And then Richard Gere comes out of the bathroom, and he goes, "That's a big one." So, the movie's fucking hysterical. And then he goes, Mr. Tinkles, how dare you cheat on me? Oh! And that's the joke.
I can't believe you sucked off that hobo for magic beans.
He was wizard. This is fucked up.
So, Jay, would you recommend movie 43?
Absolutely. If you love to laugh, if you love comedy.
Yeah, Jay, if you love comedy. And that's the thing, really. Like, a lot of critics have been kind of panning this movie, saying, like, it's lowbrow or whatever. I mean, you go to a movie to have a good time. You go to a movie to laugh at things that are funny, like people eating dog poop, and so some farting or fat people jokes or gay jokes or whatever's funny.
Especially when it's happening to a celebrity.
Yeah,
it's like, I can't believe that Kate Winslet just shoved that in her ass, and then that's the funny part.
Yeah. Well, there's that scene that they go on a cruise ship in one bit, and Kate Winslet goes up to the front of the boat, kind of doing the Titanic thing with the bow.
Of course, yeah.
Do you remember? And then she had just eaten a bunch of clams earlier, and then you hear like her stomach, and she goes, and then it pushes her off the boat.
Oh man!
And I was just like, the fart knocked her off the bow of the ship. Like that wouldn't have happened in Titanic.
And then that parody song came on that said, "My farts will go on."
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of critics have been poo-pooing this movie, and all those people just need to get the stick out of their ass, and they need to go to a theater and get a bunch of friends with them and just laugh.
I would say, I would recommend it. Maybe leave before the last 10 minutes, because it is a sketch film, so obviously there's lots of different little scenarios throughout the movie, and I thought it was a really odd note to end the movie on just 10 minutes of news footage of 9/11.